Joining me now is South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn. Congressman, I don't know anyone more respected by the public than you. Let me ask you this. Just minutes ago, President Biden held two very important meetings. He spoke via Zoom to the New Democrat coalition. Worth to point out that that group of lawmakers from the moderate wing of the party who've been most vocal in calling for the President Biden to step aside thus far. And right before that, he met virtually, he being President Biden, with the Congressional Progressive Caucus. This after Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders reiterated his support for Biden in the New York Times. Now, you've spoken out in support of Biden staying in the race. You've also said you'd back Vice President Kamala Harris running should Biden decide to step aside. What's your sense of where things stand right now?
Well, first of all, Reverend, thank you very much for having me. I think that the sense of this is that we are still in somewhat of a quagmire. Joe Biden is in touch with the grassroots in our party. And for some strange reason, people think it's a great thing for the other party to maintain touch with the grassroots. But for some reason, when it comes to our party, they don't seem to want to pay attention to the grassroots. And I can tell you that with the grassroots, Joe Biden is in a very, very good place. Now, I do know that all corners of the party need to be working in tandem if we are going to be successful. And so what I want to see happen is for us to focus on the future for a little while, especially while the other side is in their convention. And then let's move forward from that point. But as of right now, I do believe that we need to stay focused on the future.
Now, when you say focus on the future, are you saying, because you know I was there in Charleston, we had a breakfast the morning after the debate in Charleston in 2020 of the Democratic candidates, and we had them all come to a breakfast, National Action Network, of which I'm president, had the candidates. You came with Joe Biden, and you told me that morning, which froze me in place, that you were getting ready later that day to endorse Joe Biden, and it turned his campaign around. And no one can deny you were a major factor in him becoming the nominee and then president. Is there anything that you, Jim Clyburn, who has the respect of many people all over this country, what would it take for you to change your mind and say you think the president ought to step aside?
It would take Joe Biden changing his mind. I think I made the right decision back in 2020. I think the party made the right decision in nominating him. And I think the country made the right decision in electing him. Now, Joe Biden knows his situation better than any of us. He and his family would have to change their minds for me to change mine, because I do believe that he is putting the country first. He knows that this country is teetering at the moment, trying to make a decision as to whether or not we ought to continue our pursuit of a more perfect union, or whether or not we ought to step out of that and step in to an autocracy or start a road toward that. That's what this Project 2025 is all about. I've been through that document, not all 900 pages, but I've looked at the top lines in all of it, and they are focused on the past rather than the future. The future of this country says that we need to move in ways that would educate all of our children, in ways that would make all of the greatness that exists in this country accessible to everybody and affordable by everybody. You don't do that by punishing people for being born in the wrong zip code. You don't do that by denying educational opportunities to people. And I'm talking about the broad educational opportunities. I don't understand why people think it's so good for me to know that Thomas Edison was this great inventor that gave us the light bulb. But then something is wrong with me finding out who actually made the light bulb work.
Yeah.
And we do know that it happened to have been an African American that came up with the inners of that light bulb and made it work.
And many states are trying to.
All of that.
Many states are trying to edit that history, and Project 2025 clearly is in that position, which are Trump's people. And you talked about the grassroots. I know that the president spoke last night in Detroit. Our NAN president, Reverend Charles Williams, told me it was thousands there. Let's take a quick look at what he said and the kind of reception he got.
I am running, and we're going to win. I'm the nominee of this party because 14 million Democrats like you voted for me in the primaries. You made me the nominee, no one else, not the press, not the pundits, not the insiders, not donors. You, the voters, you decided, no one else, and I'm not going anywhere.
Now, these, as I said, Reverend Williams told me, were thousands of people chanting, "Don't you quit." Congressman, that's a mostly black audience in a swing state, Michigan, telling the president not to quit. What's your reaction?
Well, being an African-American myself, I remember back in the 60s, and John Lewis and I, along with other members of SNCC, and some who were not members of SNCC, were doing things. We were told that it made no sense. They were told that we needed to just stay in the classroom, just get to lessons, and don't worry about challenging the system that says you don't have the right to vote. You don't have the right to get to sit down at a lunch counter. We challenged those things, and people told us to quit, and we didn't, and we were successful. I think that Joe Biden is not a quitter. He has to present himself to our caucus and to the American people in such a way to demonstrate that he not only is not a quitter, but that he is also a winner. Now, he's demonstrated that once, and he has to keep on doing it. And so this campaign is not over. They won't get their votes until the 21st of July, which I think is Sunday week. And then people will begin to officially make their decisions. So everybody that's interested out here, make their wishes known now. We have a process in place that we ought to honor. And I want to say to our Rules Committee, thank you for putting the process in place that lends itself well to us going through this process now. We should not mess with that process. Let it keep going, and we'll see what it yields in the final analysis.
Now, we mentioned President Biden will sit down with NBC's Lester Holt in Austin, Texas on Monday as the Republican National Convention begins in Milwaukee. What does he, President Biden, need to say in that interview that he hasn't already said?
Well, I think the president is going to be in Austin, Texas on Monday celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And if you recall, after that Civil Rights Act passed in 1964, a lot of people said, that's enough for now. We'll come back later on and get voting. At the time the Civil Rights Act passed, there were counties in Alabama, 75, 85% African American, with 0 African American voters. And so we didn't quit with that. We just kept going forward. And so I think that's what the president has to say to Lester Holt. Look, I'm here to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And here's what we need to keep doing. Here's what we need to go forward. He has to look at what the Supreme Court did to the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and lay out for the American people what he will do to overcome that. Now, same thing for women. Here's what the Supreme Court did for the women's freedoms, and here's what I'm going to do in the next 100 years, first 100 days of my administration to overcome that. I think that all these things that are challenging us, what the president has to do in that interview on Sunday afternoon, and I'll be with him on Monday afternoon, and we're going to go on Tuesday to the NAACP National Convention and just lay out the things he will do to help America overcome what Project 2025 has in store for them.
And now let me ask you this.
This is what I think he has to do.
Let me switch over to let's finish talking tonight about things that's going to happen at the Republican convention. We're learning more about the list of speakers, including former Fox News host Tucker Carlson, who has pushed election denialism and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. What kind of message do you think moderate swing voters are likely to take away from this event, Congressman Clyburn?
Well, I would ask anybody to please just click on the Project 2025. Those who may be a bit challenged, get your children or grandchildren, and just take a look at the top line. What you're going to see coming out, no matter what Donald Trump may say to the contrary, they have plans for Social Security. One of them is to increase the age from 67 to 70. I would ask them to look at what they're planning and then think about what life expectancy is in this country and who has the life expectancy in this country. That was one of the big problems with Social Security from the beginning. 65% of African Americans in this country were not eligible to even participate in Social Security when it first came online. Over the years, we've fixed all of that so that everybody got a better shot. Now they want to go back to those ways of discriminating against people of color when it comes to Social Security. That's just one of the things. They've got there how bad it is for student debt elimination to take place. And the guy who contributed to that, Trump University, was one of those people who robbed young people of their money, didn't give them the education that they wanted, and then Joe Biden was left with having to forgive the debt that they accumulated. He even paid a settlement for all of that. I think that this is what has to happen. We've got to remember that going forward, we've got to get the best candidate to beat Donald Trump. And I think the American people are going to make the comparisons when we come out of our convention. But for God's sake, we cannot have a so-called open convention. We need to have an open process between now and the convention. But when we get to that convention floor, we have to hold ourselves out to the American people as being the unified party that we are. Hakeem Jeffries has done a great job of bringing us together and keeping us together. I hope we don't spoil that in one night on the convention floor as we did back in 1972 when I was in that hall and we ended up winning one state, only one state.
Wow.
After looking, so let's just say we didn't look good to the American people.
That's frightening thought for Democrats. Thank you, Congressman Jim Clyburn, as always. We're honored to have you with us.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.